Recently, I've been thinking a lot about my art journey and I've been reflecting on some of the things that I was focused on at the beginning that really wasted a lot of my time and slowed down my progress. There are a few things that I know now that I wish I knew when I first started that would have made my improvement much faster. So hopefully after you watch this video, you don't make the same mistakes that I did. So the first mistake I did was wasting my time trying to make my paintings perfect. But you might be thinking, but how am I supposed to improve if I don't try to make my paintings really good and perfect? Well, the thing is, usually it takes us about 20% of the time to get the drawing to about 70 or 80%. And this is really where most of the learning happens. At the beginning, I used to spend lots of my time trying to make one painting look really good, even with my limited skill. But then I heard that quantity over quality is a better approach at the beginning of your art journey. And I really recommend this. So let me give you an example. There was this challenge of doing 100 portraits in 10 days, and I decided to give it a go. And that challenge really forced me not to think about perfectionism and really trying to finish all these 100 portraits in 10 days. And that really meant that I have to put perfectionism aside and really focus on getting the quantities done. And doing this quantity over quality at the beginning really helped me improve in a much shorter time. And when I compared the first portrait drawing to the last one, you can see the improvement. And part of the reason is that you can spend hours and hours and hours trying to render and make your painting perfect with all these little details, but you'll learn very little during the process. Learning rendering is also good and important, but as a beginner, spending your time practicing that first 80% more often results in doing more and more painting, and you'll learn much and much faster. The second thing was brushes. Oh, brushes. I spent so much time trying to find this perfect magical brush. I kept downloading all these new ones and trying them over and over again, but the truth is that there's no really magic brush. Just start practicing using the hard and soft round brushes, the default ones, and they are really the only two brushes that you need to make most of your painting. Most artists use them for almost 90% of their painting, and then they use textured or custom brushes to add some minor details at the end. So just use the default round brushes first, and then as you get more experience, you can experiment more with other brushes. So the next one was really skipping the importance of values. So painting in grayscale is such an important thing. Color theory can be very difficult and I still struggle with it sometimes. There's a lot to learn with color. And here's the thing, even if you know color theory very well, but your values are not good, no matter how good your colors are, the painting won't look good. So even today, I sometimes just do my paintings in grayscale first and try and render the values first before I add colors. In this way, even if the colors are not the best, at least the values will carry my painting and will make it look good. So really spend the time to understand values and how you can paint things in grayscale. And there's lots of exercises that you can do to practice values and learn values and really understand it well before you move to color. So the next one is learning perspective. I really underestimated the value of this fundamental and it's very underrated. I just thought I can draw a couple boxes in perspective, move them around a little bit. It's good enough, time to move on. But trust me when I say this, practicing perspective is very important. And this really became apparent to me when I started diving into anatomy. If you really know how to draw simple shapes in perspective and try to combine them in simple shapes together, you'll really be able to draw most things. Anatomy, for example, is mostly simple shapes put together, but they're in different perspectives. If I was able to do these simple forms in different perspectives, I would have learned anatomy much faster. So just keep practicing perspective as much as you can, and you'll be happy that you did it when you start learning complex topics like the anatomy of the body. So the next one is a simple way of thinking about your paintings, and it really helped me, and it is to really try and simplify things into light and shadow shapes. There's so much to learn and everything is very complex if we think about it that way, but once I learned that things can be simplified into simple forms and shapes, I was able to improve my art much faster and really simplify everything and make great things into my painting. Let me give you an example. When I first started drawing hair, I used to think that I need to draw every single strand, and the more I add, the better it will look and I can make it work. But then when I saw Ross Strauss, for example, simplify the hair in these simple light and shadow shape, and I saw how it works, I realized that it doesn't matter how complex things are, we can simplify them into simple light and shadow shapes and make things look, and everything will look really nice and beautiful. And you can apply this to anything you paint. So you can render an entire face, for example, by thinking of the face in terms of light and shadow shapes. You don't really need to know the detailed anatomy of the eye or the nose or the mouth. If you think of it as simple light and shadow shapes, you'll be able to draw it while you practice and learn more about the anatomy. So these were really a few things that I wish I knew when I first started drawing. And I really hope you can take these lessons that I've learned and implement them into your own paintings and your own process so that you can learn and improve much faster.